Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to DFS Zone, man. I'm your host, Manny. I'm going to be going over today's 3-game slate in the WNBA. I'm going to pick apart each one of the games, discuss a little bit about each game, give you my thoughts, and at the same time be able to share with you some of the possible plays that I think would be of great value tonight in those matchups. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like, comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are on tonight's matchups and whom are you leaning towards as far as guards and forwards. And of course, if you have not as of yet subscribed to DFS Zone, make sure you do so down below, and don't forget to also put on that bell icon. This way you don't miss out on any of my WNBA videos that I put forward. Moving forward, obviously some of you are probably going to see me out there for the first time in a while. I'm going to be like, wow, Manny is back. What is going to be the deal moving forward? Well, WNBA I'm going to cover from this point forward, and videos will be made for the channel for WNBA to help you guys out as far as making your selections each night would be on 3-game slates or 4-game slates or better, as opposed to the 1 or 2 gamers. Maybe possibly some 2-game slates. I may do a quick video, put it out there, and if you're at least a subscriber and have the notification bell on, you will be able to get that information and you'll have an opportunity to look at that video. But one game slate's definitely not going to do any videos. And the reason I decided to get back to WNBA is because I haven't done it in 2 years. The last time I did any videos on DFS Zone was December of 2019, just before we started having the crisis around the nation with the pandemic. But now that things are narrowing down, I've also been able to settle in. I was in a process of making decisions of if we're going to sell our home. We end up doing that. Eventually, we end up selling the house sometime last year, and now we settled in a new location. So everything has taken a while. Time to just, take a deep breath, do some things around the house, and I'm still doing a few things around the new home. But I figured this is the best time to get in. If I'm gonna do WNBA, this is the best time to get in now, even though the season already has started. But I am back, and I'm gonna be doing videos according to those particular slates. So, and the beauty of it is that WNBA has a couple of days where it's just 1-game slates. There's Mondays, there's no games at all, and that helps to be able to not to be feeling like I'm bombarded, because I did over 350 videos, I believe, in the first 18 months that I had the channel. So I really worked my tail off, and I was kind of like a little bit spent or a little burned out, if you would say. But things are a lot better now. Do WNBA, and then we'll see what happens moving forward. If I'm going to get back to NBA when the NBA season starts later on this year in the fall, if I'm going to do some NFL, all that down the line, we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm not going to say yes or I'm going to say no. But right now, let's just focus on WNBA, and that's basically it. So 3-game slate tonight, man. So we got Chicago at New York, we got Dallas at Indiana, Washington at LA. None of the games look like they're going to be really tight games. So my first thoughts are to you guys, as far as advice is concerned, Chicago, New York, maybe because it's statistically, looking at the stats, they're kind of almost balanced in some categories, other than Chicago is more of a 2-point shooting team that usually are inside the perimeter, don't take a ton of threes, as opposed to New York is more of a 3-point shooting team, and they get a lot of their points and a lot of their shots within their point totals and their minutes that they play. As far as possessions are concerned, they mostly take quite a bit of shots from 3. On the average, about a 10 shot differential between from the floor and from the 3-point stripe. So that's going to be the difference there. They just finished playing one another, and obviously Chicago beat up on New York. I think New York is going to put out a better game today against the Sky. Candace Parker had a huge game the first time around. We're going to see what happens tonight. She is definitely someone you got to consider, or at least have her in your player pool for someone that will be in play. So when we look at Chicago, New York, and let's just dissect that game first, because I think that out of the 3 games, me personally, I think this is the one that can be the closest one. The Dallas-Indiana game is intriguing because they have not faced each other this year. So there is obviously the potential, and, of course, the probabilities. You always play the probabilities in any sport, and that's the reason why you play the games, because you just never know. Dallas, Indiana, coming into that matchup, Dallas definitely scoring out of the 6 teams that are playing tonight, they are scoring the most on average points per game during the course of the season right now at 84, somewhat almost close to 85 points a game. So Dallas, out of the 6 that are playing tonight, Indiana has given up the most. They are the worst defending team in the WNBA. Their opponents have been averaging about close to 89 points a game. So Dallas is in a position that this game could be possibly a blowout, but because they have not played each other yet, I think this is a game that you can target some players in there And the hopes are is to keep it close. And maybe, just maybe, it may be a game and some of the key players can be on the court longer to generate more fantasy points for you guys. So we'll go over that. And then the Washington-LA game, they already played each other once this year, and Washington beat up all over LA. And Washington is another team that takes a lot of shots, definitely score a lot of points. I think they score about 83. I'm looking at my sheet here. Yeah, about 83 on the nose. So my memory's pretty good. 83 points per game. Washington averages, and a Spark, one of the better defending teams. They only are giving up opponents. They are the second best, 78.4 points per game opponents against. So something's got to give. Either the Spark is going to play better defense tonight, shut down the Mystics. They beat them by 17 or 18 the first time around, if I remember correctly. I think it was 89-71 or something like that. It was not a great game, but we're going to talk about that. So let's go over Chicago, New York. All right. When we're looking at Chicago, New York, obviously, when you look at all the players here on FanDuel, you got Candace Parker at the top and Courtney Vanislu. Obviously, both good, very good players for the actual Sky. And these two girls are definitely very, very important to the offense of this team. Parker, obviously, in the last game, put up huge numbers. She's at 8,100. When I base myself on making decisions on WNBA, for me, from my experience of playing WNBA over the last 3 or 4 years, is that I look at 4 times value as opposed to I always look right away at 5 times value for when I think about the NBA players. So when I look at WNBA, I look at 4 times value. At something like this, at 8, at 4, you need about 30, 35, 36. In my opinion, I'm looking for about that range with Candace Parker, because if it was 5 times value, then we're looking at 40 from her. But she's averaging 31. Is she capable of getting you 40? Well, as you can see in the last game, which was against New York, she put up 47, and she's done 45 for 5 games before that. She hasn't played a whole lot this year. She's now healthy. She's played now 5 games in a row. The minutes are there, and she played minimal minutes. She put up 1 point per minute. That's pretty scary. She had an incredible game, double-double, had the 6 assists. She is capable of getting you blocks and steals. She did get 1 steal in the last game. She turns over the ball at times as well, but she's done well over the last 2 or 3 games. But this is what got me. This is what gets me here. The 23 minutes, 23 points. Again, can she repeat that? I think it'll be a different ball game today. I can't see her, in my opinion, going out and getting another 40 spot here today against New York. I think they're going to play her a little bit better. Or at least if I'm coaching the team, we will want to make sure that she is not beating us up. So Parker at that 23-minute mark, and again, they started blowing away New York so badly, and it was early on that she really had all these numbers piling up. That's why she finished with 23 minutes only. And the same thing for Courtney Vanislu. So I think the Candace is in play. Is she one of my top picks for today? Not so. I wouldn't go that far. But if you're looking at the top players for the day, obviously Parker, as far as the front court girls, Parker and Tiffany Charles for the Washington Mystics are going to be 2 girls that you could consider. But at 8,100, you need, like I said, if you're looking at 5 times value, you need 40 from her. And if you're looking at least 4 times value, you need about 35, 36 from her. So I think she's more in that 35, 36 range for tonight. 4 times value. I can't see her going at 5 times value. Courtney Vanislu, same situation with her, 7,800. She's $300 cheaper. Will she have a better game than Parker? It's hard to say. She was another one that played minimal minutes. She didn't play played 23 minutes as well. She did get a double-double during that span. So she did well for that span that she was on the court, a double-double, 31 fantasy points. But as you can see, she was at a 43 pretty much on average for 43 or better for 3 straight games. But she was playing nearly 30 minutes to 35 minutes a game, and she only played 23. So if New York can keep this game close, that's going to open the doors for Vanislu and Parker to have huge games. But if they don't, because they already are capable of putting up big numbers against New York. They already have shown it by just putting up the points that they did in their last game. So again, I think Courtney Vanislu is definitely someone in play. Parker is in play. Would I say that they are the top choices for you in this matchup here? Those are the 2 girls you definitely got to consider. Either choose one of the 2. If you want them to be your guard or your forward in your lineup today, you can go that route. I really, truly believe you can definitely take one of the 2. And anything can happen. It's a 50-50 chance that Parker could put up 45-50 today. Again, if New York Liberty can keep the game close and make it competitive, Parker will be out there a little bit longer, and there's a possibility she could put up more points. And the same could be said for Vanislu. Now, when you look at New York, as far as their top dogs, you got Laney and SQ. Those are girls you got to consider. They're both pretty much in that range. I think Laney, for me, will be more of a better choice in this matchup. Other than that, Whitcomb is another one you can definitely consider. But my favorite choice for New York tonight is in the front court with Rebecca Allen, and she's one of my favorite plays here today. I think Rebecca Allen, I'm just going to punch her in right here as one of my guard forwards today. I think that she's in a very, very good spot. We'll go over here. I'm going to use my fantasy cruncher, and when I look at Rebecca Allen, we're looking at that number, 5,500 for her with the upside that she has. She has 40-point upside, Rebecca Allen. Now, granted, as you can see here, 2 games ago against the Sparks, she put up a 41 spot, and that was in a close game. If it's a close game, we could see her get 25 to maybe as much as 30 minutes. What I do like also, and if you know me here, if you've been on my channel, you see me do WNBA, especially NBA, you know how I love players that can do a couple of things. What? We're looking for, obviously, great matchup situation. We're looking for 2. Another very important thing, are they one of the integral parts of the offense? Are they going to touch the ball a lot? Are they going to get shots? Well, she's going to get some shot opportunities. Does she have a good big usage rate? Yes. She's at 23, 27, almost 27, 25 average if you think about it over the course of the last few games. Does she take enough shots during the usages is on the floor? When her usage rate or your player's usage rate is up, there's a good chance that they are a very big part of the offense. They do take a lot of shots, and that's what you see here. Rebecca Allen, 15 and 11 here 2 games ago, 13 and 8 from the three-point shot. She also can get to the foul line, is a good free throw shooter, and she can rebound, and of course she can defend. She gets some steals, she gets some blocks. This is a scary situation. She did not have a great game in the last game. She only played 17 minutes, but in the 17 minutes she was on the court, she had almost a 32% usage rate. She only was 1 of 5 from the 3-point stripe, 3 of 9, only shot 30%, but and only shot 25% from 3. And when you don't play that well right off the bat, and the game gets a little out of hand, you're not going to keep one of your key players on the floor. So if New York can get out early, get a lead, sustain it, keep themselves close in this game, players like Rebecca Allen will be able to have an opportunity to be able to put up 35, 40. I think that she's in a great spot. For that price tag, I'm willing to take the risk because she has a good ceiling. She can get you possibly 40 to 45 at that price tag. So Rebecca Allen, to me, is definitely someone I'm considering in this matchup between Chicago and New York. And if this game stays close, there's going to be obviously some other girls you consider. When you're looking at the bottom half here at 5,500, if you're looking for anybody cheap, obviously Allie Quigly is always someone you can consider in a matchup. She doesn't take as many shots as she used to in the past, but she's definitely a person that can hit 35, 40, 45% from the floor, 40, 45% from 3 if she gets shot opportunities. So she's another one that you can consider. I don't have her as one of my top players, but I'm just trying to give you guys some other suggestions. Allie Quigly right here, 5,200. And I don't know why the cruncher is like moving this slow, so you got to forgive me if it's going too slow. The last 3 games, she's been at a 3-time value range, 3.2, 2.9. So she's actually been playing under her projections, but again, look at the usage rate and look at the shots she's taken. 12 shots, 13 shots from the floor, hit almost 50% from both. Didn't get going on the 3-point shot, only shot 25% over the course of the last 2 games. The only thing that I would love to see more from Allie Quigly is when she's on the floor, get a little bit more assists, a little bit more peripherals. They would like to see her get some steals and blocks, especially steals, because she's capable of it. As you can see, got 3 here, 2 and 1. Hasn't been quite doing that as of late. But then when you're losing 3 games in a row and you just got blown out in the last game, you can't be on the court that long when you don't need to be. So she only played 21 minutes in the last game. The game before that, 24. But during the time that she's on the floor, she is one of the players, that is getting shots, and because she's not usually when she's on the floor is when Vanislu is taking a little bit of a break. Sometimes she's on the floor with Vanislu, sometimes she's not. So Allie Quigly could be someone you can consider in this matchup if you would like. Other than that, Jasmine Jones here at the bottom, 4,800, definitely someone to consider for the Liberty. Jones, 24 minutes in the last game, 11-5, 2 blocks. 19 fantasy points. If you look here, she gets her 24 minutes or more than 21 minutes. She can definitely put up some numbers. She can possibly easily get you close to 1 fantasy point per minute, very close to it, but she can't. And she has the potential, to be able to get you close to that 30 fantasy point mark. For that price tag at 4, you need about 16, 17. She's averaging 13, but she has put 19, and she put up almost a 30 spot here, 25 spot there. She has the potential to get you 25 to possibly 30 at that price tag. I think she is definitely someone you can consider as well. Yanware could be someone you can consider at 3,800. She had one big, huge game. At 3,800, she is pretty cheap. She could be someone you can consider there for the New York. But I say here at the top, man, Candace Parker, Courtney Vanislu, those girls are definitely very dangerous. And then when it comes to New York, I do love Rebecca Allen. You got to consider Laney here. Laney would be someone I probably will add. If I could fit her in, I think I will probably put her in one of my lineups tonight. So she is definitely someone to consider. But, I mean, these girls here are definitely ones that you can consider highly. Whitecomb, the same thing. I'm not too high into Shields. Cooper is another one you can at 5,700. But, again, at this point, when you're looking at this particular game, I like these numbers here. I like Allen at 5,500. I like Quigly at that 5,200 mark. Shook, obviously, she gets some playing time. She got more playing time when Rebecca Allen is not on the floor. But Kylie Shook, I don't know. I still think Jasmine Jones is the one you got to consider here for New York in that bottom tier as far as price is concerned. And when you go and you move forward, let's look. I'm gonna just separate them for a moment, and then back to the forwards. I think here, man. I mean, Rebecca Allen to me is the one that really stands out, a whole lot in this matchup here. We go over to the Dallas-Indiana game. And here, Ogunbowale, love the girl, man. She was a killer in Notre Dame. She's been so far very, very good here in the WNBA. This is going to be an interesting game for me. I think this is the game that I'm leaning towards getting some players more from other than the Chicago-New York game. Washington-LA game kind of scares me a little bit. But I'm looking at this game because they have not. What intrigues me about this game is that they have not played each other yet as of this season. But you have to look at a couple of things. You have to say to yourself, Indiana is the worst team as far as defending opposition in the WNBA thus far this year. They're giving up 87.9. So I round that off right away to 88 points per game. And they're going up against a team like Dallas that in this matchup today, I think I mentioned earlier, out of the 6 teams that are playing tonight, they're the one that is scoring the most out of the 6 today, going in, scoring 84.2 points per game. So it leads me to believe with Indiana being one of the worst offensive teams, they are nearly at the bottom. They actually are pretty much tie with the Spark, only averaging 74.5 points per game. So it leads me to believe that Dallas is going to definitely beat up on Indiana. But my thought process here is that I believe Indiana, if the top dogs up front, if Jessica Breeland and McCowan can have good solid games up front, because that, and then Mitchell in the backcourt, Kelsey Mitchell in the backcourt, and the Mitchell girls, period, they will give themselves an opportunity to hopefully keep this game close against Dallas. But Ogunbowale is definitely someone you got to consider. 7,500 is a hefty number, but you're going to have to put a stud somewhere, And out of the studs in this particular game, as you can see, I got them all here. She's the top dog at 7,500. Now, do you want to go with Ogunbowale or you want to take a chance with Jessica Breeland? You can do that. I would say you can stack up Breeland with Mitchell. I don't think that's a bad idea. Or Mitchell with McCowan, or Breeland with McCowan, or Mitchell with McCowan. Any way you want to put it, I think you should take 2 Indiana players. If you want to win the tournament, you're going to have to go with someone out of one of these games where you believe that there's an opportunity for them to be able to do well. So I like Ogunbowale for Dallas. Out of all the players Dallas have, I definitely like her the most for tonight's matchup. So, you look at her numbers are just totally ridiculous. She's been playing really solid. The minutes are there. Last 2 games, 30-plus minutes, getting 16, 18. She definitely is a decent defender, can get you steals. She got 5 steals over the last 2 games. She has the tendency to turn over the ball a little bit. She can get you a few assists. It would be nice to see her get a little bit more rebounds, but as you can see the numbers here, 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 3.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists a game. He's averaging 31 fantasy points per game at 7,500. 4 times value, you need 28, 29, and she's averaging 31. That's my number first that I look at, and then I look to see if in the matchup she has the potential to get 5 times value. 7 times 5 is 35. She should be able to get 35 in this game, and of course she has the potential to get you 40 or better. So she has a good ceiling, and of course she has a pretty good floor. I mean, over the last 4 games, her floor is probably 27, 28 fantasy points. So you have yourself a pretty solid player here in Ogunbowale. So I would say I definitely would pencil her in. She's gonna be on I'm gonna make about 5 lineups today. She'll be in 1 or 2 of my lineups for certain. That's my top guard. So she's definitely someone that I consider. She's in my player pool, Ogunbowale. Then you got Jessica Breeland here. I do like Breeland at 6,900. She is probably the best defender Indiana has, in my opinion. I mean, she's definitely can get you. She can score. She can rebound. She gives you a couple of assists. But as you can see, she is definitely a good defender, blocks and steals. She gets it. This is where she really boosts up her fantasy point totals. And that's what you want to see. You want somebody. I'm always in favor of those players that get minutes, have a high usage rate, take more than enough shots, and can be able to do a number of different things and be able to give you the peripherals, because that's going to stack up your fantasy point totals. It's not just scoring. You don't want just a scorer. You don't want like a Christy Tolliver. She doesn't do a whole lot of other things, but she can definitely score. But at her price tag, she can definitely score a 25, 26, 27 on the floor and get you maybe 30 to 35, maybe even 40 fantasy points if she can do a couple other things. So that's what makes her a little scary in some matchups. But Jessica Breeland, for instance, in this matchup against Dallas, she's going to need to really assert herself today. Between her and McCowan, they're going to need to do it, because up front, that's where they have an advantage, is between them 2 girls here getting the rebounds and being able to score up front. So she's capable of getting a double-double. As you can see here, she had close to a double-double here. She got a double-double here against Seattle, close to a double-double here against Seattle in the game before that. And then in the last game against Washington, she had 7 points and 10 rebounds. And like I said before, she could do a little bit of everything. In 28 minutes, another thing is that she is capable of getting you 40 or better. She has gotten 40 once, twice, 2 over the last 5 games. She has had at least a 40 spot. So her ceiling is good for 40 somewhat points. At 69, you want about 36 from her if you can. 6 times, you need 30 at least to get from her if you can get 30. And if you're going at 4 times value, you need about 24, 25. She's averaging 25. So she's more like a 4 times value with the potential to get you 5 times value. Jessica Breeland in this matchup, if she could assert herself early on against Dallas, she will be just fine. And we're going to break this down. Hold on. Let me just split this up between the guards. So when we got the guards here, I already told you about Ogunbowale. Kelsey Mitchell, very important for Indiana today. She's going to need to get things going. Now let's go over to the cruncher. When we go and look at Kelsey, I don't know what's been going on with Cruncher. Every time I go on here now, I get this kind of nonsense. It's like, why is it doing this? Okay, and it's still popping up. All right, so Kelsey Mitchell. When we look at Mitchell, look at the minutes, man. The minutes are there. The usage rate is there. 25% or better. She's been even as high as 39%. Look at the shots. 15 here, 6 from the arc. Now, granted, last few games, not shooting percentage has been pretty poor, but she's getting shots, she's getting usage, she gets minutes. And the beauty of also about Kelsey Mitchell is that she can do a little bit of everything. She's not a bad defender. As you can see here, she gets at least 1 or 2 steals a game over the course of the last 4 games. She has 7 steals, all right? And she is capable of getting you some assists, getting you some rebounds, and of course she can score. And then she can shoot from the 3, and she's a pretty good free throw shooter when she gets to the line. She's pretty aggressive in the paint, gets to the foul line, and shoots fairly well from the foul line. So Kelsey Mitchell is going to be an integral part of the offense tonight if Indiana is going to keep this game close. And I definitely do like her here at the price tag of $6,200. Again, I think she's capable of getting you 25. She has the potential in the ceiling to be able to get you 30 or more. And if I can get this closed, this is why I'm getting a little ticked off with this All right, so Kelsey Mitchell. So I think Mitchell is in play. It's definitely someone to consider 6,200. You come down here to the bottom half, Afidi Tiffany. Now, Marina Mabry here is with a game-time decision with the ankle. That was not there earlier today when I first looked at and put up a few of my lineups. So I'm going to have to consider that because I do have her in one or two lineups. This will be definitely a concern for Dallas. If she is out, obviously some others are going to get a bump. But as you can see, she is capable of putting up some good numbers. The thing is, she's been off and on a little bit. 24 minutes in the last game against Connecticut, 2-5-4, 12 fantasy points. Didn't take a whole lot of shots that game. But against Minnesota, she played 17 minutes in one game, 17 minutes in another, only put up a 7 and put up a 35. So my concerns is that she is not, right now, not consistent with the minutes. Also, she's not consistent with the scoring. So if she can be a little more consistent like she did here early on, back in the early part of June, 42, 23, 34, 31, 25. I mean, she's averaging at least 24 plus in that stretch. And obviously her value, the salary back then was a little bit cheaper on her. She's at 6 now, so you need about 24 at 4 times value. It's obviously a number she can definitely achieve. And as we know, she has 40-point upside. She's already been able to do it 3 times already this year, 44, 41, and 42 here. So we know she has that potential. At 6, if she is a game-time decision and she does not play, hey, there'll be a bump there for Dallas. That means Agumbewale is going to look even more better in tonight's matchup because she's going to probably take up even more shots. If not, then you got to consider Gray or possibly Harris for Dallas, or even Jefferson to be able to get a little bit more playing time and be able to get some shots. Tiffany Mitchell could be a possibility. I do like the Kelsey Mitchell better in this matchup than Tiffany Mitchell. So as far as the guards are concerned, to me, is Agumbewale and Kelsey Mitchell. And if you're going to look at the bottom tier, I don't really think anybody down here really intrigues me enough. When we go to the forwards, obviously here, the key here is these. For me, these are 3 players that I really do like in this matchup here. Breeland, McCowan, and of course for Dallas, I do like Kayla Thornton at 4,600. Kayla Thornton is not a bad play here at 4,600. You only need 16, 17 from her at 4,600 at 4 times value. And she has the potential to get you 20. And she has the potential to even be a 30, has the ceiling to get you possibly 30. But let's look at Jessica Breeland. I think Breeland is someone I did mention before. Let me go to McCowan because I already mentioned Breeland. So McCowan is someone to consider as well. As you can see, she is capable of getting a double-double. She's done it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. She's been able to do it. She can get scores. She can get rebounds. She's not an assist person. She's basically someone that works the paint, stays in the paint, get those easy baskets. But she also brings some defense. She can definitely get you blocks. She's been averaging 1 or 2 blocks a game for the last 5 games straight, as you can see here on FanDuel, and she's capable of getting you some steals. She is a good point per minute player, so as long as she's on the floor, you're more than likely gonna get more fantasy point per minute. You're gonna get her to possibly get you 1 fantasy point per minute. And I mean, at 6,100 with 24 to possibly 30 as 5 times value, and she has a ceiling. She's capable of getting you 40 plus. She's definitely someone to consider. This is a game that they're gonna have to really be able to take charge between McCowan and Breeland. So I like either one of those 2. I'm going to throw one of them in there. I'm going to go right now with McCowan in this matchup. She's going to be my second forward. Then, of course, I'm going to look for obviously some value there. So, again, those are my 2 forwards that I'm going to share with you that I believe are fairly good plays today. I think I really like Allen today, and I like McCowan. But like I said before, I think Thornton, if you want to go cheaper, Thornton at 4,600 is someone to consider. And I don't see anybody else other than that in this game. Sabali, not too sure of. I really would prefer McCowan over Sabali by that $100 price tag. I would take that with the potential of her getting 40, 45. And the same would be for Breeland. If you're not on McCowan, then definitely go out for Jessica Breeland. And that's where I'm at between these 2 teams here. When we go to Washington, the Washington game, obviously at the top you got Tina Charles. Obviously because I took McCowan at 6,100 and Rebecca Allen, Tina Charles is not in play for me, but she is definitely in play. My only concerns about this game is that they have played already against one another. Washington beat LA by about 17, 18. Matter of fact, let me look right here at Tina Charles' numbers. And yeah, they played here on June 10th. She played 22 minutes. She nearly put 1 point per minute, not 1 fantasy point per minute, 1 point per minute. And she did that all in 22 minutes. She put up 31.5 fantasy points. And because the game got out of hand, she was able to not only, she didn't need to be out there for over 30 minutes in this particular matchup. She only played 22 minutes, put up a double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds, had 3 assists. She is another one that's capable of getting you steals. She can definitely score. As you can see in the last 2 games, 30 plus in 2 games from the floor. 30 points, 30 and 34, 16 and 15, 56 and 65, 56 plus in 2 straight games. I do not see that today. At this price tag, 5 times value, you need 45. 6 times value, you need about 4. You need 50 or more. And if you go 4 times value, 36 looks more respectable in this matchup. I think this is more of a 4 times value matchup for her, just simply because if this game gets out of hand, she's not going to play a long time. And that's my concern, is paying $9,000 when I could come down and maybe even take her teammate like Ariel Akins here, double A at 7,100. 5 times value, you need 35. And if you go 4 times value, you need 28. And I would probably consider double A a little bit more in this matchup. 31 plus minutes over the last 3 games, 16, 10, and 32 in 1 game. She's averaging, I would say she's averaging 30 fantasy points per game, 3 rebounds and 3 assists. I would love to see her have a little more. She is more of a scorer than anything else. She doesn't get a ton of assists. She can defend well enough to get you some steals, as you can see here, and can get you some occasional blocks. But she's more of a scorer. She's not going to get a lot of assists. Not going to get a lot of rebounds. She's someone who's going to get a lot of touches, take a lot of shots. And you can go with that when you get a lot of shots when you play someone. And the same thing, she was one of the ones that played against LA and did very well the first time around. 29 minutes, which is more standard. That looks better to see 29 or more from a starter on a team and a star on a team for Washington in AA. And 23 points from the floor. And as you can see, just 5 rebounds, 3 assists. But she did get some peripherals here, 1 block and 2 steals. Had a 41 spot against this team. So she's capable of getting you 41. I like the fact that she can get you 1 fantasy point per minute. She gets more than enough minutes, and she has a high usage rate. So she is definitely someone to consider. At 7,100, definitely someone to consider over Tina Charles if you wanted to. But Tina Charles has the greater upside. She can get you 50. She can get you 60. But you got to pay $9,000 for her to do so. So when I come down a little lower here, I do like a few other girls. Erica Wheeler for LA is important. She takes a lot of shots. She's going to need to shoot well, and she's going to need this game to stay close for her to be able to get those shots and be able to be on the floor longer. I don't know if she's going to be able to do that. It's hard to say. One thing also, when you do WNBA or NBA, any game, any slates, you always want to try to leave room to get 1 or possibly 2 players. In this case, at least 1 WNBA player from the late night game. The late night games are important because that 1 player, at least for me, the excitement is just to know that if I'm in the running in a tournament and I see that I have 1 or 2 players in the late game, that I have an opportunity, especially if I'm already highly ranked. If I'm in that good position already and I got 2 players or 1 player coming in a late night game in a good matchup and they happen to go off, there's a good chance that maybe I might be able to cash very nicely on that tournament. So I advise always try to lock in 1 or possibly 2 players in the late game if at all possible anytime you play daily fantasy sports and any of the sports that you play. So in this matchup today, definitely there will be at least 1 player in every one of my teams that I make today. As I said, I'm going to be making 5 lineups today. But Erica Wheeler, 6,700. You need about 24. You need about 24 for 4 times value. 5 times value, you need about 30. We're looking at her. She's averaging 25 fantasy points per game, averaging 3 points, 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists. As you can see lately, she's been putting up some nice numbers, 17 plus from the floor. She's had 2 double-doubles, 47 and 44. So she had 44 plus in 2 out of the last 3 games. So we know she has 40-point upside. That's why her price tag is up there at that price at 6,700. But again, she's going to need to do well. When she played Washington the first time, she only put up 19. So that's a scary thought there. And that was more so because they started pulling away and they started beating up on the spark that they probably did not allow her to go anymore. Now, 25 minutes is a respectable amount of minutes on the court. So still, nonetheless, she did not do well enough. That means they either defended well on her or she just didn't shoot as well that game. But she is definitely someone that you can consider. At 6,700, a little hefty for a guard tonight for for tonight as opposed to some of the other guards. Teresa Plaisance is definitely someone, to consider here. 6,500 again for Washington. If you're not on Charles, then you definitely should be on Plaisance. That's just the way I look at it. She's 6,500. You're looking at about $2,500 savings by taking Plaisance, who is capable of getting you 35-40. I mean, as you can see here, 31 plus in 4 out of the last 5 games. She's been playing well. She's getting huge amount of minutes. The minutes are there. She had a double-double here, 16, 12, and 4. Over here, nearly a double-double in the last game against Seattle, 10, 9, 3, 2. She can definitely get you some steals and blocks, so she gets you the peripherals. And if we look at her, if I can get this to work here, this Fantasy Cruncher, we can look at her a little bit more closer as far as usage rate and all. But when I was looking at her numbers, I was definitely impressed. They are going against the 4th best team in defending the front court, the front court players. But 29 in the last game, and as you can see, 37 and 38. Those were at 7 times value, man. So she was definitely in a good spot. Only her cost was only $5 and $5,400. Obviously, her price tag has increased considerably, just because of her performance. But look at the usage rate, 23.5, almost 25, 23 to 25 over the last 3. And look at the shots, 15 from the floor, 7 from 3. Obviously, these percentages are not good. 2 of 7 and 4 of 15 are not great shooting nights. But as you can see, she took 22 shots, total 13 shots, that's a lot of attempts, 13 shots. Well, I keep it, let's put it this way. She's taking 13 shots, but she's taking 9 out of the 13 from 3, I hate to confuse that. I was making it sound like she's taking 22 shots. She's not. She's taking 7 shots from 3, hit only 2, and she's taking 15 shots from the floor. I mean, field goals are field goals. That includes also 3-pointers. But she hasn't shot well over the last 2 or 3 games. And if she could just shoot well, as you can see, she will do very, very well. Her numbers will be higher. She has the potential to get 40 somewhat fantasy points. I like her here in this matchup, against LA, and I would probably prefer her a little bit more than Charles, just simply for the savings of the 2,500. That's why I would consider Plaisance. So she's someone to consider. On the lower tier here, obviously you got 3 girls that I'm looking at here, and that I believe are in play for me entirely as well. Tolliver obviously is another person, 5,300 for LA. She takes a ton of shots. Yes, she's not fantasy top point totals are not high. Like I mentioned before about her, is that she takes a lot of shots, but she doesn't do a whole lot of other things, and that's what is always concerning for me as a fantasy player, because I always want to find players that can be able to do a little bit of everything. I'd rather have that. I'd rather see the minutes, the usage. I'd rather see that they're taking shots, and that's great if you're taking a ton of shots, but you also want to be able to get to the free throw line, be able to get some steals, maybe possibly some blocks, get some rebounds, get some assists, get a little bit of everything, and that opens up the doors for you to have even more fantasy points than just relying on just being a shooter. So, but at 5,300, man, she's definitely someone you got to consider, in a matchup like this against Washington. 35 minutes in her last game, 15 and 4, 28, 29. The minutes are there. She's getting pretty much 30 to 31 minutes a game. The only thing is that she can get you, in a 24, 25-minute game, she can get you 20, or she can get you 22, 23, and then there's potential of her also having a very poor game and getting you an 8. So her floor is pretty low. Her ceiling is not that high. But again, if she's able to take some shots and keep LA in this game against Washington, she is someone you can consider. Amanda Zui B, 5,100. You need pretty much 20. If you're looking at 4 times value at 5, you need 25. She's averaging 23. If she's getting enough minutes, the minutes have not been there in the last 2 games, so that's a concern. But when she does play 34, 36 minutes, she can get you close to 1 fantasy point per minute at here, 29, 30, and she has 40-point upside. So, again, she is someone you can consider, at that price tag. My favorite down here as far as cheap plays is Bria Holmes. I think Bria Holmes here for LA. 35 and 25 2 games ago. She only played 12 minutes in the last game, but I'm relying more on that 25 to possibly 35 minutes. If she plays this amount of minutes, she's capable. At this price tag, you only need 16 5 times value, you need 20, and she's got 22, 26 in those 2 games there when she has played 25 minutes or better. But we need her to get 25 minutes or better, and that's the chance you got to take. But I think her at that price tag there, she is definitely someone to consider as well. Overall, I did give you guys two players here that I definitely are locked in. As far as guards, looking at this price tag here, if I am going to choose anybody here that I definitely want on my lineup here today, and I'm going to go with Miss Quigly here at 5,200. She is one of my guards, one of the more mid plays, 5,200. You need about 25 from her at this price tag, and at 4 times value, that's 20. She is more than capable of getting you 20 to 25. I think Allie Quigly is someone you definitely consider, and I like her in this matchup today. Again, I do like Courtney Vanislu, but it's hard to put all these players in there unless you really got some serious value in the bottom tier. And if I look at the guards, the cheapest guard here that I would ever consider here tonight, and over here, there's no one there that I really like at all. The only one that is the lowest price tag that I would take would be Holmes, and if not, my second choice would be Jones, Jasmine Jones. So those are 2 that you can add into your lineups as far as a player pool. I think those 2 girls are definitely girls that you can consider. But I think these are the 3 girls that I'm looking at. These are the 3 that I'm going to share with you. I don't know if I'm gonna go with a 4th girl for certain that I'm going to definitely play. It will probably be Kelsey Mitchell at 6,200 against Dallas. I do like the matchup for her against Dallas, but only if the front court girls do their part in Breeland and McCowan. If they're able to rebound, be able to kick back the ball, give it to Kelsey, give Kelsey an opportunity to get shots and get secondary shots, there's the possibility of Kelsey Mitchell, KM, putting up some serious numbers. So that's what we're banking on. Other than that, man, like I said before, let me go through this list again. If you're doing a list, Vanislu's in play. My favorite play overall at guard is Gumewale. Definitely like her. I think she's in a good spot here because more than likely she also has one of her teammates down. And right now Mabry is a game time decision, so that's gonna probably hope a Gumewale. But I like Gumewale as my favorite at that 7,500 range. Other than that, when you come down below 7,000, Laney is definitely in play for me. She's on my player pool. Enescu, of course, is in my player pool as well. And then we have here Mitchell, definitely someone that I told you I like. When we come down a little lower, under $6,000, Whitecomb is definitely someone to consider. Cooper is another. And then I will come down. You got to consider Tolliver because of all the shots she takes. Quigly, as well as Tiffany Mitchell. And then if you're going under 5, I would say player pool wise, I'm looking at Jasmine Jones. I'm looking at Bria Holmes. I think those are the 2 that I like the best in that range. And if you're looking at forward, trying to help you out as much as I can. Tina Charles, obviously, best player in the actual matchups tonight. She's the best player on the court. Tina Charles, you could pay for her. I mean, she's capable of getting you 55, 60. I just think that if this game gets out of hand, she's not going to play as many minutes and she won't quite get there. But again, you got to, I could be wrong. This game could end up being a close game, and man, here you are. Tina Charles is in there late in the 4th quarter, lighting it up and maybe getting 55, 60. If I'm going to choose any one of the 2, I will probably go with Parker over Charles for the $900 savings. But other than that, if you're not there at that price range, I would rather save and come all the way down. I really do think that Breeland, Plaisance, and McCowan are pretty solid plays here at that 6,000 to 6,800 range. Under that, man, I think the steal of the day is going to be Rebecca Allen at 5,500. Love her there in that spot. And then if you're going to go any cheaper than that, there's always Kayla Thornton. I definitely like her there. And I believe that is it for the big girls, for the girls up front. Yeah, the lowest girl I would go with here would be Thornton. And then, you still have Dawson. You still have Shook. You still have Zooey B. I think those girls are in play as well as far as a player pool is concerned. As far as the top girls, for me, I kind of like what I have here right now with these top 4 girls, Quigly, Mitchell, Allen, and McCowan. I think those are the girls I'm going with, man. Again, that's pretty much where I'm at. That's all I have for you guys today. I mean, as we go along a little bit more, I'm going to start incorporating a little bit more of my analytics, more and more statistics, because I do look at the statistics a whole lot. That's how I based a lot of my information from, how teams are playing against one another. Also, look at team statistics as far as how they handle what their opponents have done against them, and so on and so forth. So I think these matchups are pretty good, but again, anything can happen. I wish you guys a lot of luck. Let me know. Comment down again. Drop a like. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of tonight's matchups, who you like, if there's any of the 4 girls here you really favor or you agree with me with, and if you disagree with me with all 4 of them, no problem. These are not the only girls. These are the 4 I think that are my favorites going into today, but a lot of things can change from here to the time the games start, so you never know. But again, that's why I share with you another maybe 10 to 12 more players. So build your player pools, man. Wish you guys a lot of luck. Again, like, comment, subscribe down below if you have not done so already. And I'll see you guys on the next 3 gamer or more as far as the video is concerned. And again, for those who have been with me for the last several years and have hung on there, man, I'm glad to be back. I hope to hear from you guys. And again, I appreciate all of you guys that have stood with DFS Zone up to this point in time. And we're going to see how we do things moving forward. All right. Good luck tonight, man. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.